Hi everyone. I wanted to pop on here and do our full moon and equinox live, and I will be also posting this to my YouTube, so if you missed the live you can check it out there. And my name is Abigail Barella. I created Sparkle and Shine Guidance to help people really tune into their strengths and their passions so that they can affect their surroundings and help themselves to grow and flourish and really work towards their soul's dharma. So here we are, and we're talking about the equinox and the full moon. And the equinox is happening, look how beautiful those clouds are. Oh my gosh, so gorgeous up here. Okay, so the equinox is this weekend, depending on where you are and what time it's happening. Basically, I consider the equinox to happen as soon as the sun moves into Libra, because what's happening there, so if we think of the wheel of the zodiac, and again we are in the 3D reality, but when we're looking at a birth chart it's on a piece of paper. But when we're thinking about Aries, Aries is at the rising, it's at the eastern horizon, and then we look to Libra, which is at the western horizon. So it's this line that it makes, and that's basically right the line that we think of as being the equator when we have the equinox. So when it's exact on those points, the spring equinox is when the sun is on the first degree of Aries, and then the fall equinox is when it's at the first degree of Libra. And when we're thinking about that, both of those are cardinal signs. Obviously, it's the start of a season. So what is wanting to be restarted and reset for you? I think of Aries time when we're moving into the spring equinox as a rebirth, it's a fresh start. And then I think of this Libra time as we're moving into fall as paying attention to what needs to be buried, what needs to be released, what needs to be let go of. And a lot of us who have a lot of fixed energy in their chart. So if you have a lot of Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, or Taurus, then that's been really activated the last year. And so it's an important to notice if you have any of those. It's going to be harder to let go, but like some things just need to die, just need to be let go. And when we do that, what happens is there's all this potential and all this energy is reset towards creation and towards fresh starts. So I want to encourage you to look at anything that's coming up for you that needs to be released and let go of. And there's this amazing rebalance of the poles on the earth, and the magnetic poles on the earth. And so it's a really great time to be out in nature this weekend and just be like sitting your bum on the earth and really letting yourself drop in. If you have a really busy weekend set up, make sure that you fit in time to just sit with yourself and really maybe do some writing or just be with yourself for processing everything that's come up in the last month. Virgo time tends to be a little busy, especially this last week in Virgo. We're trying to fit everything in, and it's going to be such a refreshing thing to come into this Libra energy, which is all about balance, rebalancing, and finding the beauty in slowing down. Typically at this time of year, relationship issues come up, and what is the most important relationship that we have, right? And it's the relationship to ourselves and to our soul. And if we can really focus on that and focus on what needs to shift and change within ourselves, then we're going to be much more available to be in partnership and to be really in our full power in our partnerships, right? And so there's this sometimes this conflict that comes up in partnerships and relationships, and it really is an opportunity to look at where we haven't been in alignment within ourselves, because we're all just mirrors, we're all just reflecting things to each other. And so if you're finding unhappiness or conflicts in partnership, in friendship, in work friendships, and work partnerships, this is the opportunity to do that sacred pause and really look at what the truth is, what it's activating in you, what is triggering you. And I want to talk about this full moon now. This is a perfect opportunity. The full moon is in Aries, and Aries is about our identity. It's about our inner warrior. It's about us really initiating things. And the moon's there, so our emotions are set to there. And so our emotions are kind of set to, what do I need? What do I need here? What do I need to have to feel secure and to feel full as a human? And it's conjunct, which means right next to the wounded healer archetype, which is Chiron. And Chiron's in Aries, in the first degree of Aries. And so it's I think it's in the first degree of Aries. I have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure. And it's definitely in Aries. And so we're getting this opportunity to look at where we've been hurt in the past when we've tried to initiate, when we've tried to say what we need, especially our inner child. So it's at that inner child age where sometimes these wounds kind of live, and we really need to look at and be honest with ourselves about if we're living in the past or if we're living from this place of fear. And so this is this full moon opportunity. Things might come up to the surface that aren't so comfortable, but they're for us to really heal and look at. And so that's why it's a great time to work with me. A lot of people are feeling the call right now, especially if you have a lot of Libra, Aries, or fixed signs in your chart. And then in Libra, we have the Sun conjunct Mercury. And the Sun conjunct Mercury is about needing to process and needing to really speak and communicate where we've been let down in the past, where we've had disappointments, and then leaving that shit behind and like moving forward to rebalance in all kinds of relationships. But again, most importantly, our relationship to ourselves, our relationship to our own inner masculine and feminine. We all have masculine and we all have feminine. And this has been coming up today a lot in sessions, is that within all of us, our own judgments about ourselves and about our work in the world, about our, anything having to do with us, it's typically a judgment that we have of ourselves. So our inner feminine or our inner masculine is judging one side or the other. And it's really important to recognize that so that we can heal that, and to recognize when we're wanting to judge others, it's probably because we're judging ourselves. And this is really true. I'm finding this to be really true lately with women judging men and judging their inner feminine, and this whole idea that women have it all figured out and that we're superior in some way to men. And that's been really bothering me a lot, and what I've been seeing, from other writers and from other healers is that, there's not something that's inherently better about the feminine than the masculine. It's just that we've had this experience of the feminine being so shut down that we have to amplify it. We have to understand it more. But that doesn't mean that we have to do that at the expense of, leaving behind this masculine and also leaving behind men, because men have the feminine too. There are so many men out there that have much more alignment with the divine feminine than a lot of women I know. And this is something that's really important to look at, because there's the toxic, there's the shadow to both the feminine and the masculine. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox. But that's really important, because Libra it's interesting because it's ruled by a feminine, it's ruled by Venus, yet it is a masculine sign. It's an air sign. And so it's really about finding that balance within ourselves of the masculine and feminine, okay? And so if you want to work on this is like a big part of my work. So if you're interested in working with me, definitely let me know. And I wanted to say, so it's interesting, right? We're coming into this Venetian time. Today, Friday, is ruled by Venus too. So I thought it was a great time to do this video. And knowing that we're coming into this Venus retrograde, which I have talked about a lot on my Instagram. I haven't talked about it a lot here. I've been really wanting to do a video just on this, and I will. We are in the shadow phase. It goes into its retrograde on October 5th. So you have a little bit of time, but we're getting glimpses here of what's coming to the surface to be worked on, okay? So definitely check out my Instagram posts lately if you want to read more about that until I make my video about it. But you want to know where Scorpio, the first 10 degrees of Scorpio are for you, because this is where we're really doing the work, and it's going to keep happening. And so you're going to get these little glimpses of what in yourself needs to be loved on more and what needs to be accepted more. Okay, and then so I wanted to talk about that because we're coming into Libra time, and that's when we'll get this retrograde period, and Libra is ruled by Venus. Okay, so really important to look at where Aries is in your chart, where Libra is in your chart, and then where Scorpio is in your chart. Okay, I'm going to do a house by house, and then I really have to go. I'm so glad you guys are watching, and I really appreciate all your support. And definitely share this video if it speaks to you, or if you know someone who loves astrology and would like this video. So if you have Aries on your rising or in your first house, this full moon is really going to bring to light some really issues in your emotional security around the way that you look, the way that you accept the way that you look. Maybe there's something that needs to shift in your thinking around the way that you you identify, or the way that you think people see you. Maybe it just isn't true, this whole idea that you've built up around people seeing you a certain way. Maybe it's just in your head. So that can be coming up to the surface, and really how to mediate that is, you know, talking with others, being really honest, and really, you know, talking it out. If you have Aries in your second house, so this full moon is going to be happening in your second house, this is your resources and your security as an individual. It's your boundaries. And so there might be this thing about you feeling like you have to be a warrior and you have to protect yourself from other people or from situations, and that might be coming up to look at and to do some healing work around. If you have Aries in the third house, your third house is communication. It's Gemini's house. It's very quick-witted, and since you'll have the Mercury opposite this, it might bring up issues that you've had around communicating your identity, communicating what is true for you. You might be someone who thinks that you're really clear about your identity with people, and then you talk to people and you're like, do you even know me? So things need to be communicated, and so this is a time for you to write, for you to speak. You might be someone who struggles with both of those things, and so you might find it really helpful to kind of, maybe you'll find like a martial art or something to help you bridge that action that your body needs in order for you to communicate things. That's not going to make sense to you unless you have this placement, okay? If you have Aries in the fourth house, there's this thing coming up for you around feeling like you have to be a warrior around your home or where you come from. Maybe you could be in the military. There's so many options here. Or your need to protect your security, like something around your security is going to be coming up big time. And so this is around your home environment or the land that you come from. So it's really important for you to have the resources available to you to process this out so that you can do something with your work in the world to help this situation. So that's coming up. If you have Aries in the fifth house, this is your house of creativity. It's the house of the muse. It's about the house of courage. It's double fire. So if you have Aries here, it's double fire. And obviously same if you had it in the first house as well, but we're talking about fifth house. Fifth house, if you have Aries in the fifth house, this is your need to really be fiery in your creativity. You might be a fire dancer. You might be someone that somehow needs to work with fire. Maybe you're a glass blower, or you're a welder, or you're a potter, you know, something with the fire. Hi, Beth. I love you, Beth. Aries, I'm talking about the Aries full moon that's coming up on Monday. So if you have Aries in your fifth house, that might be so you might need to do some creation, some creativity, some expression in order to work with this energy. And same thing. So, and also with community, like expressing yourself and because we're looking at Libra too, the balance of the other and relationships. So there's something around you being creative that's maybe been blocked in the past, or that there's wounds around that needs to be healed, or that wants to be healed right now. Maybe you already are healing it, so good job. So sixth house, if you have the moon, the full moon happening in your sixth house, this is around your needs for identification in your work environment. You might not feel very seen or very honored in your work environment right now, or you might feel that way, but in a way that doesn't feel like it's fully you. And so there might be some shifts and changes that need to happen here. I would say definitely meditation and breathing and that kind of thing before you go to work on Monday. Some things might come up around your work environment and your day-to-day house routines, that kind of thing. Okay, if you have Aries in the seventh house, this is the house of relationships, and especially marriage and partnership. And because it's Aries, it can be kind of warrior-like in the way that they look at relationships. And so it's important for you to take the space that you need to process things out. All the things I said in the first part of this video are very applicable to you. And this is a placement, I think I always say this is a placement for a great time to get your chart read or to work with me, because yeah, you might be wanting just extra support. Same being said, if you have Aries in the 8th house, and the full moon happening in your 8th house, it's going to be transformations and shifts and changes to your identity, which might feel a little crazy making, but it's for the greatest good. I was just talking about the dynamic feminine, and this is a great example of it. The dynamic feminine, It's represented by the Tower card in tarot. It's represented by Uranus energy in astrology. And sometimes you just have to let shit die. And this is really the placement for it. Just clear it out, burn it down, not literally, metaphysically, okay? And you get all this energy and this opportunity to create something new. So it's beautiful. Okay, if you have Aries in your 9th house, this is a time for you to really look at where you've been blocking your identity towards learning new things. Like what needs to be released so that you can learn new things, so that you can study something new and not judge yourself for it. You can just open your mind. Maybe you're going to plan a trip. Maybe there's something that's going to really help you to expand your mind. Hi, Calvary. How are you? So Cynthia, hello. How are you? I'm just like, it's hard for me to see the screen. Okay. So we're looking at house by house, and we're going through the houses of astrology. And so we are on the 9th house, and I was just talking about if the full moon's happening for you, there might be kind of some things to look at around where you've been holding yourself back in terms of learning something new or giving yourself permission to study something or teach something. If you have the full moon happening in your 10th house, you have Aries in your 10th house, you are just a warrior. You are a warrior. Just own it. Maybe you're someone who teaches martial arts or is like, doing something very physical and active for your work. And at this time, it's important to look at really honoring the parts of you that just kind of want to always start fresh. And maybe there's something where you just need to honestly stay with it longer and build from what you already have going. And this also can be around being seen or your identification with your work in the world. And so if there's things coming up around that, definitely take some time to process. This also points to like wanting everybody to be happy and needing to let go of some of that. So 11th house, if you have Aries in your 11th house and this full moon's happening then in your 11th house, then you want to look at your community and where you felt like you have to kind of fight for your right for things, and any wounds coming up around the way that you have been treated in community or the larger community, if there's anything there. And then at the same time, where you need to just do your own thing and start fresh. So there might be something there that needs to be looked at. If you have Aries in your 12th house, this can be a challenging placement, I think, because it's that really warrior spirit, and then the 12th house tends to be everything below the surface of our mind. So it's like the subconscious and things that we keep even hidden from ourselves. So when the full moon's happening here and you have Aries, the first degree of Aries here, it's really important for you to just take that space and process, and also like speak it out, get it out in some way. And also getting spiritual with it, meditating, tuning into your surroundings and asking for guidance, because the 12th house is our spiritual connection. So Aries is the warrior, and with the 12th house, there can be this feeling like you have to fight and not even know what you're fighting for or what you're fighting against. There's just a lot of resistance in your system. And so it's important to look at where that stems from. At this time, there's this opportunity to really heal that. So it's a really powerful time. It's a really powerful time to work with me if you have this placement. And I don't say that for all of them, but there are some where I'm like, oh, I could totally see this being a really rich opportunity for you to heal. And, this week in particular, the charts that have been coming to me, the people that have been coming to work with me, I'm like, of course you're here now. Like, do you see this? This is happening right now. And so just trust, if you're feeling intuitively guided to work with me, this is a really potent time to do the healing work. But honestly, you know yourself. You know if it's a good time or not. So just tune in. And I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Really take good care of yourself. Take good care of your body. And just slow down if you can. So this is a great opportunity to just get onto the earth, lay on the earth, sit on the earth, and reset your system. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day.